Hello, everyone. This is Javondlynn Dunagan from JMD Defense, LLC, right here in Chicago, Illinois. And I'm excited to talk to you today about how do you go about purchasing a firearm. There are some steps, not simply the steps of purchasing a gun through the paperwork and the legal part of it. I'm talking about what goes into your decision prior to purchasing a gun. So, the first thing you want to do is think about what kind of gun do you want? Do you want a gun for your home or do you want a gun for self defense? You want to Google best concealed carry handguns if you want a firearm for self defense. The big guns, which you call full size or compact guns, are real easy to research. That's not a big deal. It's the subcompact guns, the concealed carry handguns that you need to research and think about before you go to the range. Second thing you want to do is decide, do you want to buy a used gun or do you want to buy a brand new gun? So let's talk a little bit about the used guns first. If you buy a used gun, you don't know the history of that gun. Has that gun been involved in a crime? Has that gun been cleaned on a regular basis? How have they been handling and storing that firearm? You really don't know unless you decide that you're going to ask this person some questions and trust their judgment. Now, let me give you an example of what happens when you buy a used firearm and you don't know the history of it. The Sig Sauer P320 was a firearm that failed the drop test when it first came out a few years ago. And what that meant is that if that gun ever dropped on the ground, it would fire. And guns should not do that. They're durable, they're very, very sustainable. And if that gun drops, you should assume that it's not going to go off. So those guns were recalled by Sig Sauer and they were repaired. Police stations across the country had purchased them in large numbers, but their officers were being shot. What happened was people that had purchased that gun decided, or maybe they did or didn't, send their guns back to be repaired. So, what if I decide to ask someone here in Illinois to sell me a firearm and they happen to have this particular gun, right? So, I could do a private sale or transfer if we go through the proper procedures on the Illinois State Police website. But guess what? If they sell me that type of gun because I heard that Sig Sauer makes great guns and I didn't do my research, I wouldn't know if this individual sent that gun back to be repaired. Most people don't want to send their guns back to the manufacturer because they're going to keep it for at least 6 weeks. They're not going to turn that around in a couple of days. So if I buy a gun that's used off of an individual and I don't know the history of that gun, I could be buying a defective gun, not knowing that if I drop the gun, something could happen. So you want to do your research. If you find a gun that you like and you've landed on that particular gun, Google it, look up reviews, go to that actual manufacturer's website and look to see if there have been any recalls and put in that serial number. With a gun that you're buying from an individual that you don't know, you're not going to have a chance to get all of that information. But if it's important enough to you, ask that individual for the serial number. Ask them if you found out that there were recalls. Did they send it in? The manufacturer will be able to let you know if that gun was returned. Now, a new gun. I'm a new kind of girl. I like warranties. I like to know the history of a firearm. For me, that's the way I would go, but you may decide you want to buy a used firearm. Now, there are three types of ways that you can purchase a firearm. Every single person legally that sells a firearm is considered a federal firearm license dealer. That is an FFL. They're all across the country. They are certified, stamped, approved, background checked by the ATF, right? Now, you can meet them at a gun show. They can sell you a gun. You still got to go through a 72-hour background check. You can meet them at a gun range, a gun store, meaning meet them personally, not saying you go and meet them and meet them and to make the arrangement. But if you go to a gun store, gun stores, gun ranges are FFLs because they're in the business of guns. Then you have those individuals that actually work outside of their home. They're just kind of independent, like kind of contractors, and they are considered FFLs. How do you know if somebody is legitimately an FFL? Well, you can go on the ATF.gov's website and you can look up federal firearm licenses, and it'll give you a whole list of everyone across the country. Please do your research because you do not want to be out here with someone telling you that they are legally able to sell you a gun and that they're not. If anything doesn't feel right, it's not right. Now, the next step you want to think about is once you have those selections that you are interested in, go to the range, shoot those firearms, run about 10 rounds through them, and get a feel for how it feels in your hand. How does it feel when you rack the slide? When you shoot, how is that recoil? All of those things go into play when you're purchasing a firearm. Do not let anyone tell you when you get to the counter, this is the best gun for a woman. And all the guys have this Glock. This is a really cool gun. A gun that you may like may not be the same gun that I like or shoot well with it. So I don't let anyone tell me this is the same kind of gun that I have and this is the kind of gun that you should have. So let me give you a quick little story. One of our students in our class said that her friends are police officers, husband and wife team. They told her this is a good gun to get, right? And guess what they did? They convinced her that this was the gun she should have. She went out and purchased the gun. The gun came, and I asked her, "Hey, is it a subcompact? Is it a compact? Is it a 9 millimeter? Is it a revolver?" She didn't know any of that. She went based off of their recommendation. Well, guess what? They've been around guns. They're used to guns. The guns they recommended to her were the guns that fit for their hands. It fit them when they went to the range, but it wasn't a good fit for her. Luckily, this particular FFL let her return that gun. Guns depreciate when they leave the shelf. The only reason they probably let her return it because guns are in demand right now. That is not always the case, and I've never heard of a gun dealer taking a gun back unless it's considered a resale and now it's considered a used gun and it depreciates. So the bottom line is you want to make sure that you take the time to research guns before you make that purchase. Do not make a blind purchase. We offer a private gun shopping consultation. I took 3 students today. Each one of them had a full hour where we swapped out 5 different guns that they rented at the range. They ran 10 rounds through them. And what was really interesting is we had a little overlap over those 3 hours. They don't know about it. I know, meaning that some of them out of the 3 had an opportunity to shoot the same types of guns. So for me, it was good research because what I realized is one person would say, "Oh, this gun felt really good," or, "Oh, this gun felt kind of rough in my hands." So you may go into it saying, "I really like this gun. I did all this research," and then you get there and then you shoot the gun and realize that it's not the same. So as I close, I just want to say it's a lot that goes into purchasing a gun, not just the legal part, filling out the paperwork, paying for the gun, and going through a background check. You have to really make sure that you don't have buyer's remorse. Take your time, do your research, make sure if you're doing a private sale that you go through the proper channels in your state. Every state is different. This is not a gun that you purchase that you're going to just go back home and say, "Okay, I don't really like this gun. Let me go back and turn this in." That gun should feel as comfortable to you as it is with you carrying your cell phone every day. All right, so that's it for today. Wait for the next topic. Stay tuned. Please subscribe to my channel, JMD Defense LLC. Please go to my website, jmddefense.com, and check out my Facebook page at JMD Defense LLC, as well as my Instagram page. I have a wealth of information to share with everybody, and I certainly want to make sure that you get in on it. Thank you very much.